spanning a little over 2 decades, I've had the distinct pleasure of test driving many BMWs, in fact. And if we do go back to the late 90s and early 2000s, I always looked forward to driving any BMW car. When it came to the SUVs, the X3 and the X5, not so much, let's just say. Everyone has noticed, anyone who's driven BMWs for the last 10, 12, 15 years have noticed that there has been a significant change of focus at BMW. And I can summarize that by saying that every time I get the opportunity to test drive an X5 or an X7, I get excited. In fact, I was more looking forward to driving this X5 45e, yes, a plug-in hybrid, which I typically despise is a strong word, but I don't like. I was looking forward to driving this more than even the M8 competition Grand Coupe. Now that tells you that BMW's focus has shifted considerably. In fact, I can tell you now that the best, most all-encompassing, pleasurable and refined vehicles that BMW builds today, and more or less for the last 5-6 years, have been their SUVs. And the X5 and X7 are by far the greatest ones. In fact, in this segment, even offerings from Porsche and Audi and Mercedes-Benz only come close to an X5. So you're guessing correctly then that I enjoyed my time with this X5 45e, yes, even this plug-in hybrid. We'll do the usual walk around, and then we'll take it for a drive, and I'll try and explain to you why the X5 is the BMW. All right, so let's just start right away with pricing information in the US. So the X5 S Drive 40i is $59,400. The 45e is $65,400, and the superb, fantastic V8 powered 50i starts at $82,800 in Canada. X-Drive standard, so the 40i is $77,500. The 45e, the model you see here, starts at $83,500, and then the 50i, $93,000. As we walk around, few words on styling. It looks fantastic. It's an X5, immediately recognizable. Every angle, every surface, every crease, every line, everything works. I love, for some reason, I'm just an absolute sucker for these taillights. It's so aggressive and alive, yet snarky almost. It's beautiful. The only failing of my Tester X5 right here is that it's black on black with black in the black and black and black and black. Fortunately, sadly, a lot of people do enjoy that. I do not. Kind of makes it blend in with the background, not stand out. And even the grille, the massive grille here, kind of works because it's black on black, so maybe that's the reason why people get black on black. But the massive grille, even on a white one, really works on the X5. Now, my Tester has a number of options, as you probably may have guessed. It's got the premium enhanced package, which delivers the soft closed doors, which are fantastic, heads-up display, 4-zone climate control, Wi-Fi hotspot, and a bunch of other stuff. I also have the M Sport package. Now, normally you could tell because it has, well, you could tell because it does have the blue brake calipers, but normally it would have 21-inch wheels. These are 20s with winter tires, so it's kind of a -1. BMW does that, which is an intelligent decision on their behalf. It's got the advanced driving package, blah, and BMW individual merino leather on the inside. I'll show that to you. Grand total, $100,400. I mean, look, it's black and it's 6 figures. Those are the only two downsides to this, really. But I know the price is the price. You almost essentially get what you pay for here. Let's just do a quick walk around as per the usual. Now there's one thing BMW has been doing for a while, and the X5, and that's the two-piece hatch. It's just completely, absolutely brilliant. If you go to Costco and stuff falls out of the box or the bag or anywhere, it'll never roll out when you open the hatch until you do that. No, really, power assistance is not necessary, but it's kind of cool. It's plenty of storage here and there. There's so many different ways to configure this. I really enjoy that. And the fact that it's quick, so that's kind of fun. Now back here, this is not quite a large mid-size SUV, just so you get an idea of the size. The wheelbase, I think, is almost 3 meters across, like 2,975 millimeters, something like that. So there's a decent amount of room on the inside. Look, if we just jump right to it, the amount of leg room isn't enormous for my kids. This is a little bit less than a Sorento. If this is of importance to you, you can just barely squeeze an individual between the two baby seats in this situation. But there's one thing. Look, this is BMW doing premium things. Always a nice touch. Contrast stitching, the materials, the surfaces, anyway, everything. Oh, and just in case you forget, obviously it's an X5, so where you want to sit is right there. Here's a good shot of the proof that it's BMW individual merino leather. The leather itself, the stitching, the quilting is just beautiful. It's so thick, big quality. I love, look, the attention to detail again, the surfaces. I mean, you know you're getting a premium vehicle when everything just glides and slides together as well as it does in here. Start it up. Actually, while we're here, we can do this. There are 43 different drive modes. No, I exaggerate only slightly. So there's a couple of sports, there's a couple of hybrids, there's a few electrics, and then there's adaptive. So I can't do the math. Was that 7 drive modes? They show up on a lovely 12.3-inch screen, which is also tactile. So that works out quite well. In fact, it's pretty quick to respond. You also have a lovely 12.3-inch display here, all digital. Look, it's premium. I love the fact that everything is turned towards the driver, which makes it really nice. Actually limits the amount of glare and having to slide your head back and forth to see the screen. Here's just a shot. I mean, the X5 is not new. It's been around for a couple of years. There is this massive blind spot here, but again, you sit high enough that you can actually see out of it. Paddle shifters. Am I wasting your time right now? Maybe just a little bit. Everything else is fairly standard. Excellent storage. As a final shot for the interior, this is nice too. Plenty of storage. There's your wireless charger down there. Okay, enough of that. Let's go for a drive. Okay, let me be clear about one thing. As I said, even though this is a plug-in hybrid, I was looking forward to driving it, not because it's a plug-in hybrid, but because it's an X5. Yes, I've not met an X5, the recent generations, that I haven't liked. So I suppose that's a good segue into discussing what makes the 45e plug-in hybrid different from, say, the 40i. It is still based and using the same twin-power turbo straight 6 3-liter engine, but because it's a 45 and not a 40, it has more power. In fact, peak output for the 45e is 389 horsepower, 443 pound-feet of torque, which is a considerable amount. In fact, quite a bit more than the 40i. But that's not the reason why you buy a 45e, because where do I begin? The good stuff, okay? So it's got a 24 kilowatt hour battery, which is fairly considerable for a plug-in hybrid, but this is a considerable SUV. What that will do is give you up to 30 miles or 45 kilometers of pure electric range, which is closing in on a reasonable amount for your typical commute. 30 kilometers, not enough. 45, you're getting there. So that's the highlight. The downside, and one of the reasons why you need all that extra power, is that The 45e weighs 800 pounds more than the 40i. 800 pounds. And you also won't get much else out of the power, because the 0 to 60 time between the 40i and the 45e is identical. So that's 5.3 seconds 0 to 60, 5.6 seconds 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. So there's no gain there. And here is perhaps the worst part. And these are BMW Canada's numbers. The 40i will deliver a combined average of 10.4 liters per 100 kilometers, which is spectacular for a vehicle of this weight. 45e plug-in hybrid will deliver, on average, 11.5 liters per 100 kilometers. So let's go back to the 45 kilometers, 30 miles of EV range. If that does not represent in excess of, or I mean, if that's not a little bit more than your daily commutes, your daily trips, and you do plug it in at every opportunity, then there is no point in getting a 45e. The road just got really bad, but the ride is beautiful. And if you did notice, segue into that right now, if you did notice that the ride height or the height of the X5 was different between my intro and the walk around, it's because of the air suspension, which is an absolute key element in making the X5 as refined, capable, comfortable, smooth, and sure-footed as it is. Now, if I just get back to the 45 kilometers and the 11.5 liters per 100 kilometers, the thing with those numbers is that they reflect what I'm experiencing. So that does not happen very often, where manufacturer numbers reflect real world numbers. I'm averaging just shy of 11.5, but most of my driving has been done in the city. I went on a longish road trip yesterday, so that increased my fuel consumption number, but I'm still well within reason. The other thing, on a full charge, I have had 45 kilometers indicated. Unfortunately, I didn't have to go 45 kilometers away, but I did nudge on 35 kilometers of travel, and I had, I suppose, somewhere between just around 25% battery range left. So I think that it's very possible. We're still coolish outside. Not today, but it was earlier this week. The point I'm trying to say is that what BMW tells you can get with the X5 45e, the range, the fuel economy, seem real. I mean, that deserves a golf clap. And, okay, so many things to say. If you've heard a little beeping from the X5 a couple of times, well, that's because this has the gesture control. The gesture control stuff, which is really cool gadget. But if you happen to say the word BMW, the car might think you're asking it something, so it will interrupt your conversation. And if you like to talk with your hands a lot, well then, you might get the audio system all frenzied, riled up or whatever, so that can distract your conversation. But that's neither here nor there in the real world, really. All that to say, I suppose I can say, let's start with this. Do I get an X5 before a Cayenne? Yes. I do like the Q7, but there's something about this, how solid and consistent the X5 feels. GLE is really nice, but I'm still, attracted to the X5 more. But obviously, and I think you can conclude this as well, you don't spend the extra $6,000 or $7,000 on a 45e unless you stay within that range, because the 40i is lighter, better on fuel, and just as quick, and it's less expensive. So BMW actually answers that question for you. I'm here to tell you that the X5 is great. On a lease for maybe 3, max 4 years, and then you walk away or get a new one. There, I've said my long piece.